One day, a wild bull was walking down a street, and he saw this beautiful paddy field. And the bull was thinking, wow, what a beautiful paddy field. I need to eat some paddy. So what he did was, he jumped to the paddy field and started eating paddy. But there was this farmer who was so mindful watching the paddy field, and he saw the bull was eating paddy. So what the farmer did, he ran across the paddy field and grabbed the bull from its horns and wrapped the muzzle around the horns and gave a huge blow to the bull. What happened to the bull? The bull was confused. So the bull ran away. But the nature of the bull is that he forgets everything very quickly. And the next day, what happened? The bull was walking down the same street and saw the paddy field, jumped to the paddy field and started eating paddy again. But there was this mindful farmer who was watching the paddy field. He gave a sound beating on that day as well. So this happened for a little while. But there came one day that the bull was thinking, okay, today I don't want to jump into the paddy field. Why? Because I always get beaten up by this guy. So on that day, the bull didn't jump to the paddy field. On that day, the bull was very disciplined when he was near the paddy field. He went and he passed the paddy field without jumping towards it. So the Buddha used this wonderful story and metaphor to give us a beautiful message. The Buddha says, this is the nature of our mind. It's like a wild bull. Forgets everything, runs towards these evil thoughts, and it has no discipline. So the Buddha says how we should discipline, like that mindful farmer. We have to be mindful and watch our thoughts and take control over it. How to take control over our thoughts? So Buddha give us a beautiful way to do that. The Buddha says, whenever your mind runs towards these evil thoughts, what you have to think? You have to think the downside of all these evil thoughts. For an example, if you have hatred in your mind, you have to think, this is not good for myself. This is not good for my physical health. This is not good for my mental health. And this is not good for me as well as others. My hate is not good for me and as well as others. In that way, by considering the downside and the danger of your thoughts, you can stay away from evil thoughts, and also you can discipline your thoughts. But to do every kind of these things, any of these things, we have to have one beautiful quality, and that is the mindfulness. So the Buddha says, watch your mind like a farmer who's watching the paddy field. Right? So without mindfulness, we cannot do any kind of these things. We cannot discipline our mind. We cannot take our mind from unwholesomeness to wholesomeness. So we need to have this beautiful quality of mindfulness. And also we need to consider the danger of our thoughts, because one thought can create a beautiful world, and just one thought can destroy this whole world. That is the power of our mind. So understand that the nature of all of our minds are like a wild bull. So many people complain when they start meditating, they say, oh, my mind is not disciplined. It's always busy. It's running here and there. I'm very scattered brained. Well, at the beginning, we all are like that. When we start meditation, our minds start to run here and there. Only when we start meditating, we realize that how busy our minds are, how scattered our minds are. So what we have to do, whenever our mind gets distracted or disturbed or running into these kind of evil thoughts, we have to kindly bring it back to the wholesomeness. You may have to do this again and again. You may have to do it for years, but there will be a day, definitely, there will be a day that your mind becomes disciplined, but only if you keep doing this. right? It's all about the little steps that you take to discipline your mind every single day. And every practice adds up to your life. That is the wonder of this beautiful Buddhist path. Every practice that Buddha teaches us adds up and it always helps to us. So, I know, and we all know that it is not easy to discipline our mind. But even though it is difficult, it is not easy, it is painful, we have to do it again and again, keep doing it until that beautiful day comes, that we gain a beautiful, disciplined mind. So keep practicing, disciplining our mind, and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to another video. From today's video, let's discuss about the problem of feeling worthless, right? Sometimes no matter how good we are, sometimes how good other people to us are, we feel worthless about ourselves, right? We feel that we don't have any value, right? My life, there is no value in my life. Why am I living? Have you ever felt like this? Now, this has been a big problem for me before becoming a monk, right? Before becoming a monk, we have to undergo a training period of like 1.5 years, right? I will tell you about my story. So I was staying in this monastery, and I had to learn how to become a monk, and we were practicing and everything. But since even though everything is good, everything around me is good, right? Everyone around me is good, and also even though I am doing good, that still I feel like, why am I living in this life, right? My life, there is no value in my life. Everything that I do, I fail. Sometimes I fail in my life. But when you fail like that, you think like, oh, I'm a failure, right? I don't have any value in my life. And that is not the reality, right? That when it comes to reality, that is not true. But still, mind is very good at distorting the reality and creating these scenarios in our mind to say to our life that you're worthless, right? You have no value. There is no value in your life, right? You're not good enough. So how can we deal with this? So I will tell you how I got the help from the spiritual companions and the monks and my teacher. So one time I was so upset of the things that I'm doing, and also everything that I have been doing went like it went wrong, right? It wasn't successful. I was meditating, I was helping the monk, but sometimes I made mistakes, and I was worrying about these mistakes. No one complained about me. No one said nothing bad about me, but still my heart says to me that you're not good enough. You're a failure, right? So I was so upset. And now when you're in upset mindset, what is the first thing that comes out of you? It's your facial expressions, right? Someone can say your face is a reflection of your mind state. Okay, so I was upset, and one of the monks who was residing in that monastery noticed me that I'm upset. So he came up to me and said, like, tell me, what's bothering you? Is there anything that is bothering in your mind? You can say it to me. Let's discuss. So the first reaction, as usual, when someone asks from us, how are you, or is there any problem in you? What we say? We say that, okay, I'm fine, right? There's no problem. But he understood my mental state and told me, tell me the truth. I'm here to help you. We can discuss so that we can sort out the problem. So I told this condition of my mind, mental state of my mind, that I am feeling worthless. I'm feeling that I'm a failure. And then he said, okay, you're feeling worthless. Let's say you're feeling worthless, and you're feeling that you don't have any value in your life. But now I need you to check the reality. What are you doing right now? You're meditating, you're helping the monks, and you're doing all the chores, and you're still feeling worthless. Is that the reality? One thing that he said is check the reality, right? Check what is real.
Because mind is pretty good at creating all the worst case scenarios and all the pessimistic thoughts in our mind, because it's a thought pattern, right? One thing that our mind has is it has the habit of creating the thought patterns, right? Once we start to feed our mind with a certain thought patterns, it has this looping effect of creating this thought pattern again and again and again. The more we think it, the more it comes back to our mind. So he said that check the reality and understand that your life is not worthless, right? Your life, there are many things that you can be happy about, right? That's the reality. As humans, there is nothing that we can feel like my life is worthless, right? Because there are so many things that we can be happy about. Like being a human itself is something that we can be happy about, right? We got the chance to be a human and practice these good qualities, live as a good human itself is something that we can be happy about. And be happy about that you have air to breathe, right? You have people around you that smiles at you. At least something that find something that you can be happy about, because there are so many things. There are thousands and thousands of things in reality that we can be happy about. Okay, that is one thing that you have to do. Check the reality. Is it true that my mind saying that your life is worthless? But when you come to reality, you find that there are a lot of things that you can be happy about in our life. Okay, and there's another thing that you can do, and that is keep a gratitude journal, right? Write few things that you have to be like you can be happy about in your life, right? You can be happy about so many things if you think about it. So find something and write about it. And also another thing that you have to do whenever you get these kind of thought patterns is to try to give more, right? Try to help more to other people, right? Whenever you do that, you feel the value of the things that you do, right? The positive energy that you create towards other people, right? And whenever you give, whenever you help others, you see the smile of their faces. You see that people are thanking you, and you think that, oh, this is what the true value of my life, right? My life is not worthless. My life is valuable, that I can create many positive things around me in my life, so that it's not true that my mind's saying that I'm worthless, right? When you realize that, you come to this state and come to that understanding that how valuable this human life is, right? How many positive things that you can do in this life, right? When you do that, that state of mind will go away. So things that we have to do is check the reality and understand, ask from yourself that is that true, that truly that my life is worthless or not, right? And also be generous, help other people, and be happy and understand that your life is truly valuable. So keep this little advice in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. Today, from this video, I want to share with you few habits and practices that we monks practice in our daily life. And also I want to share with you few my personal practices that I do in my daily life. And I believe these practices and habits can help you to achieve a more happier and a more fulfilling life. Now, have you seen people, those who are doing extraordinary things, that average people wonder and think like, how on earth that person did that? Some people call it luck, okay? Some people call it they are clever. Some people call that they are very skillful, okay? But I would say the secret behind their achievement is a good set of habits that they have done every single day, and they have practiced every single day, and those practices and those habits has become a normal part of their life. And that is why we have to focus our mind on the habits and the practices that we do in our daily life. Because what we do in our daily life, what we think in our daily life, makes who we are, makes the character, okay, makes our character. So that is why we have to focus on the good habits and try as much as possible to remove the toxic habits and replace them with a good one. So I believe these habits, these monk habits and personal habits, will help you to achieve a more happier and a more fulfilling life. So without any further ado, let's dive into these habits. The first practice is the morning gratitude practice. Now, this is something that we monks practice every single morning. And that is to be thankful for and grateful for everything and every person in our life. So the first thing that I practice is I become thankful for the Buddha in the first step, and also for his teachings. It is called Dhamma, and noble community of monks, that is called the Sangha. So these are the three jewels in my life. So I become thankful for all those three jewels. And also, I genuinely become thankful for my teacher who taught me the Buddha's teachings. And also, I become thankful for my parents and my brother monks and people who offer me foods. Now, as monks, we don't earn money, we don't cook. So people come to the temple and they offer us food. So when we receive the food, we genuinely become thankful for them. And also I become thankful for all the people who helps me during the day. For an example, there are so many people who are helping me to create these videos. So every single morning, I become thankful for them. And you can become thankful for them as well. And also you can simply be thankful for everything and every experience and every person in our life. And also remember that you can be thankful for bad people as well, right? People who gave you tough times. Why should we become thankful for bad people and the rude people who gave us tough times to our life? Because those are the people who gave us ability to practice the patience and the mental strength, right? Without them, our life would be less interesting, okay? The more we face challenges, the more we face tough times, there's a story for us to tell. So we can be simply thankful for them as well for making our life story more interesting. In that way, you can practice this gratitude practice every single morning. When you practice the gratefulness and when you simply become thankful for everything and every person in your life, you start to feel the value of your life. Because sometimes we forget that we have a value in our life and think like, oh, my life is miserable. My life is worthless. My life has no value. But if you really think about it, if you really focus about it, our life is more valuable. And the first practice is that to practice the morning gratitude. The second practice that I want to share with you today is the morning meditation. Morning meditation is one of the most important practices that we do in our monk's life, right? Why meditate in the morning, especially? Morning is one of the best times to meditate because your mind is so calm and peaceful in that time. And also your surrounding is calm and peaceful at that time. Okay, so morning meditations give you a refreshed start to your day. So as morning meditations, normally we monks practice, first of all, the love and kindness meditation, and some monks practice mindfulness meditation, breathing meditation, and a lot of meditations. So it depends on your choice what to practice and what not to practice. So morning meditation is one of the best practices and best things that you can do to start your day with a fresh start. The third practice is journaling. Now, this is something that I do every single day to have a good review on the day, right? What I did during the day and what I forgot to do. And also, I take time to write down all the good things and all the good deeds that I did and simply be happy about it. And also, finally, you can leave some space to write down all the things that you are grateful for in your life. When you write down all the things that you're grateful in your life, and if you do it every single day, it becomes a habit to remember all the good things in your life, all the valuable things in your life, and you will feel much more valuable about your life. So journaling is one of the habits that you can add to your life to make your life more happier and more fulfilling. And the fourth practice is mindful eating. Now, this is one practice that we monks do almost every single day. Normally, as monks, we all only have 2 meals per day. And in some monasteries, some monks have only 1 meal per day. So while we are having our meals, we become mindful and we focus our mind on the food that we are taking, right? So the first step is to recall and reflect on the purpose of eating. Now, what is the purpose of eating? As a monk, we have our food as a help for our health and as a help for our spiritual journey. So when you recall that, you know that you're having your meals with a purpose. And also, the next step is to be more mindful and focus our mind on eating. You focus your mind on the texture of the food and the taste of the food and the warmth of the food, and simply be aware of it while having the meals. Now, while you're having these meals, the surrounding, and when everyone is having that meal in the same way, the surrounding is very quiet and calm as the monastery's dining hall. One interesting about the monastery's dining hall is the monastery's dining hall is very calm and quiet while the monks are having the meals, because they simply become mindful about their food. So mindful eating is one practice that you can do in your life. And if you're having a busy life, right, if you don't have some time to meditate, a separate time to meditate, you can practice this mindful eating practice as a meditation. So if you want to know how to practice this, you can watch this video right here that I have done a separate video to how to meditate in a busy life. Check that as well. So this mindful practice is one of the good practices that you can do in your daily life. The fifth and the final practice that I want to share with you today is planning the day. Now, why should we plan the day? Because most of the time, we spend our day in autopilot mode, right? We always think, what should we do next? Sometimes we wonder what we are going to do, what we are going to do next. And sometimes we do the things that we don't want to do, and we don't give that priority to the important things in our life, and we miss to do all those important things. And that is why it is really important to plan your day before you start. So every single day, before you're going to bed, you can take a book or whatever that you use to note down, right? And plan your day and prioritize the most important things that you should do and you should focus on during the day, and try to do that most important task during the day in the first place, right? Try as much as possible to do the most important and the most difficult task during the day in the first place. Why should you do this? Because after doing that, you have that mental freedom, right? Mental clarity to do and focus on other things that values to your life. So every single night, before starting every single day, plan your day and start the day. Don't step into the day without planning. Then your day will be planned and you will have much good time, and you can allocate a good time to have a mental freedom and to practice meditations and spirituality. Now, so many people complain about, oh, we don't have time to meditate, we don't have time to read a book because we are so busy. No, everyone is not busy, because everyone has got 24 hours. We all have got 24 hours. Even the busy people, not busy people, organized people, well-organized people, and not organized people, unorganized people, we all have 24 hours. It is all about how we organize our day, how we plan our day. So it is really important to plan your day and work on that plan. And then you can have more free and a happier day. So these are the few practices that I do personally, and we monks do in our monk's life, that can add to your life. I think some of the things, some of the practices, you're also doing all those things. But if you're not doing this, add them to your life, and then you will start to feel that your life is more lighter, more happier, and more fulfilling. So I wish you all a healthy and a happier life. Namo Buddhaya. Once, a student monk went to his master and said, "Master, I can't live in this temple anymore. I want to leave this place and go to a peaceful and quiet monastery." Then the master monk asked, "Why? What's wrong with this temple? Tell me what happened." Then the student monk said, "See, everyone in this temple are toxic to me. There are some monks who are too much into politics in this temple. And there are some other monks who always talks negative stuff about me and about others. And there are some others who spend their whole day doing nothing but just gossiping. I don't think that I can practice my spiritual life in this temple. Please let me go to a peaceful and a quiet monastery where there is no toxic people around me." Then the master monk said, "Okay, I will let you go. But before going, you have to do me a favor for the one last time." Then the student monk said, "Tell me, master, what should I do for you?" Then the master monk took a spoonful of water and gave it to the student monk and said, "You must carry this spoonful of water around the monastery and you should bring it to me. But here's the trick. You must never spill a single drop of water from it. If you can do it, I will let you go to a peaceful monastery." So thinking that the master will let him go to a peaceful monastery by completing this weird request, the student monk took the spoonful of water and carried it around the monastery, fully focused and without spilling a single drop from it. So after a few hours, the student monk came back to the master with a happy face and said, "Master, I did it. I carried this spoonful of water all around the monastery, even without spilling a drop from it. So now let me go to a peaceful monastery." Then the master monk said, "Okay, my student, you are free to go. But before you go, just tell me one thing. While you were carrying the spoonful of water around the monastery, did you hear any of the monks talking about politics? Did you hear any of the monks gossiping about other people? Did you hear any of the monks talking negative stuff about you?" Then the student monk said, "Master, I was focused on the spoon and I didn't have any time to listen to all those noises." Then the master monk said, "See, my student, if you are fully focused on your goal and if you're fully focused on your purpose, you don't have time to listen to all those other negative noises around you. Remember, wherever you go in this world, you will meet negative people around you. But if you're fully focused on your goal and on your larger purpose, all the other negative people and all the other negative words that you hear are nothing but just noises." Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what we focus in our life. The more we focus on other people's behaviors, other people's words, other people's lives, there will be many toxic people around us. But if we are focused on ourselves, our goals, our purpose, all those negative stuff will become nothing but just a noise. See, it is easy to criticize other people. It is easy to see the dark side and the negative side of people. But it takes a heart of bravery and kindness to see the bright side of people. We all have imperfections in our life. We all make mistakes. We all make bad choices. And all those faults, imperfections are the things that makes us who we are. So when you work with people, or when you are on social media, you will come across with people that you don't like. You will come across with ideas that you don't agree with. Remember, in all those times, you have the power to choose whether to react with negativity or to respond to them with positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, it is all about what you choose to do and what you focus in your life. So, focus on yourself and choose to respond to them with positivity. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. If you were to choose one book for the rest of your life and to keep it with you and carry around wherever you go, what book would you choose? Well, for me, it is this book. This book has literally changed my life in many ways. And whenever I feel down, whenever I feel stressed, I take out this book and read 2 or 3 pages and I find the answer for my problem. Well, if you ask, and this book is very famous that it is considered the handbook of Buddhists, right? Now, if you ask, what is the religious book of Christians? You can clearly say it is the Bible. What is the religious book of Muslims? You can clearly say it is Al-Quran. What is the religious book of Judaism? You can say it is Torah. What is the religious book of Hinduism? It is the Bhagavad Gita. Well, if you ask from a Buddhist, what is your religious book? Then they will say, oh, we don't have one book. We have an array of books. There are a lot of books when it comes to religious scriptures in Buddhism. But out of all these religious scriptures books, right, in Buddhism, this book is it is considered the handbook of all the Buddhists. So this book is none other than the Dhammapada itself, right? So Dhammapada has literally changed my life in many ways. So what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was preached by the Buddha himself. Now there are 423 verses in this collection, and it is divided into 26 chapters, each explaining different kind of topics like happiness, like violence, or loving kindness, or about the wise man, about the foolish, or about the Buddha, right? So it contains a lot of verses which explains about the life as well, right? And I would recommend that whenever you feel down, whenever you feel stressed, if you have this Dhammapada book with you, you can take it out and read 2 or 3 pages, and I'm pretty sure that you will find the answer for your problem, right? I have heard from a lot of my Hindu friends that they're using the Bhagavad Gita whenever they feel down, then whenever they feel stressed, they take this Bhagavad Gita and they read 2 or 3 pages and they find the answer for their problem. Well, for the Buddhists, in the Buddhist practice, I would highly recommend Dhammapada book to use as the handbook of every person. Dhammapada has a lot of advices and life lessons that they are wonderful. So let's take some time to read 2 or 3 verses and see how wonderful they are. In Dhammapada verse number 103, the Buddha says, though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself. So the Buddha says, no matter how much you conquer, no matter how much you battle in the battleground, the most difficult war is to conquer yourself, to win yourself. See how wonderful it is. In the next verse, the Buddha says, self-conquest is far better than the conquest of others. Not even a god, an angel, Mara or Brahma can turn into defeat the victory of such a person who is self-subdued and ever restrained in conduct. So the Dhammapada contains such kind of verses which gives you the inspiration or the motivation, the strength to build up yourself, to focus more into yourself. And also in Dhammapada verse 166, the Buddha says, let one not neglect one's own welfare for the sake of another, however great. Clearly understand one's own welfare, let one be intent upon the good. So the Buddha says, no matter what happened, first of all, you have to focus on yourself, your own welfare.
if you made your own welfare, if you protect yourself, then only you can protect others and help others in the correct way, right? So it helps you to be more self-conscious, more self-focused, and to build up yourself. In verse number 290, the Buddha says, if by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater. Now, I find this verse is so important and so inspiring, right? Because for me especially, when I'm living as a monk, sometimes I have found a little bit stressed out, like times where I feel down and stressed out. Right? Then I always think, okay, you're intending a greater happiness. You're going to achieve a greater happiness. Then you must be willing to let go of that lesser happinesses, cheaper happinesses, if you are focused on a greater happiness, right? In the same way, for the normal life, it's the same way, right? If someone is working towards a greater happiness or a greater goal in his life, then he or she has to let go of that cheaper happinesses, that daily cheaper happinesses that keeps that person away from achieving that greater happiness, right? So Dhammapada contains such valuable and inspiring life lessons, advices. So I invite all of you to take this book, buy this book, or maybe find this book and read it, right? So I will link down below all the links that you need to read this book. You may find some PDFs. You may find some online links that I will provide some online links that you can read. And also, if you are willing to buy the book, right, buy the hard book, I will link down some links for that you can buy the book online, right? So when it comes to Dhammapada, there are lots of translations. But the translations that I would recommend is, the first translation is by Venerable Acharya Buddha Rakkhita, right? This translation is very good and very precise. It contains very high level of English, but it is very precise, right? And also, there's another translation that I would highly recommend. That is the translation from my teacher, Venerable Kiribati Goda Nyanananda Thero. In this book, you may find all the verses in the most simplest and easy to understand form, right? So if you can buy this book, and these are the two translations that I would recommend for all of you. So I invite all of you to buy or read it online or find PDFs and read these books, read this Dhammapada book, and then you will find a lot of valuable life lessons. So that is all for today. I wish you all, may you be healthy and may you live in peace. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. From today's video, we are going to discuss about the idea about hell and heaven according to Buddhism. Now, before we start the video, I invite all of you to have an open mind and a mind of understanding throughout this video so that we can share what Buddhism teaches about the hell and heaven, right? So in almost all the religions, there are teachings about hell and heaven. Now you may be wondering whether there is a teaching about hell and heaven in Buddhism. The short answer is yes. Yes, there are teachings in Buddhism about hell and heaven, but it is very different than almost the other religions. Now, in almost all the monotheistic religions, the heaven is an eternal place, right? That means once a being is born there, they will live there forever. But in some religions like Islam and Judaism, the hell is not an eternal place. Eventually, they will be forgiven and they will be born in heaven again. But in Christianity, both hell and heaven are eternal places according to my knowledge, right? So this is basically the idea about hell and heaven in monotheistic religions. But in Buddhism, the Buddhist idea about hell and heaven is very different, because before learning about the hell and heaven, I need to introduce you to another important word, and that word is called sansara or samsara. Sansara is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Birth, death, and rebirth. So the Buddha shows us that all the living beings, except from the enlightened beings, are subjected to this birth, death, and rebirth, the cycle of rebirth, right? As long as they continue this, as long as they are not enlightened, they will continue to be in this cycle forever. So according to Buddhism, there are 31 planes of existence. That means there are 31 worlds where the beings are born. And in each and every world, beings are born and they are subjected to aging. That is one intrinsic nature that we all carry in all throughout our lives, right? We are subjected to aging. And eventually the Buddha says that every being is subjected to death, right? And then they will be reborn. So it applies the same for the heaven. That means a being, when a being is born in heaven, eventually they start to age and also they die. So that according to Buddhism, heaven or hell is not an eternal place where the beings are born and they don't become eternal. They don't live there forever. Eventually they start to age and they die and they will be reborn again. Okay, so this is the basic concept about hell and heaven according to Buddhism. Now you may be wondering, who is going to judge who is going to heaven and who is going to hell? Now, according to all the other monotheistic religions, the God gives the judgment, right? According to their sins and according to their way of behaviors. But in Buddhism, the next birth is determined by various factors. Especially, it is determined by the karma. The Buddha says that when a person creates more wholesome karma, right? When a person stays away from killing and stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and using alcohols and intoxicants, and also when a person lives a virtuous life, an ethical life, he will be born in heaven. Okay, he will be more likely to be born in heaven. And also, if a person is living unethical life, right? When he creates unwholesome actions in his life, that unwholesome energy will lead him to be born in hell. But also remember that once they are born there, they are not going to live there forever. The place is not an eternal place. So that eventually they are subjected to rebirth. Again, they will come to some other worlds. So this is the nature of the Buddhist concept of heaven and hell. And also we need to remember that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is not to be born in heaven. Buddha explains how a being is born in heaven and what karma or what actions leads to be born in heaven and what actions lead to be born in hell. But Buddha never says that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is to be born in heaven. The Buddha says that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is to seek the liberation, to escape from all kinds of suffering. So this is the basic idea in Buddhism about the hell and heaven. So I hope you got some idea about the concept of hell and heaven in Buddhism. So I wish you all, may all of you be happy and healthy and free from suffering. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Today, from this video, let's talk about the benefits of practicing mindfulness and how mindfulness benefits for our daily Buddhist practice. Now, what should be practiced in Buddhism as Buddhist practice is sila, samadhi, and prajna. These are the three practices that we practice in all through Buddhism. In whatever the state we are in, we practice these three practices. Sila is the virtuous behavior or moral conduct. And we've discussed about sila in a separate video. If you haven't watched it, and if you don't know what sila is, you can watch it right here. So sila is basically the ethical and the moral conduct, or in another word, virtuous behavior, or being disciplined by your body and by your words. So mindfulness helps us to practice sila in a good way, in a more productive way. And also the second practice is samadhi. Samadhi is the mental concentration. being able to be in practice the one-pointedness in our mind, and to practice that tranquility in our mind. It's called the samadhi. And final practice is prajna. Prajna means the wisdom, understanding about the true nature of life, and fully understanding about the three marks of existence: the anicca, the impermanence; dukkha, that's the suffering; and anatta is the non-self. So how mindfulness helps to practice these things. First of all, let's talk about how mindfulness benefits to practice the sila. Now, sila is the virtuous behavior, as we said before. So before talking about these things, let's learn about what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is the practice of or ability to be fully aware in this present moment with more wholesome mindset. When you practice mindfulness, it is really, really easy to practice sila. Why? Because sila is all about being disciplined from your body and from your words. So if you're mindful about your bodily actions, what you are going to do, okay, and what you are going to say, then you keep a good gatekeeper to your actions. Now, sati is often referred to as mindfulness in Buddhism, and the Buddha said that sati is like a gatekeeper to your mind, or the mindfulness is like a gatekeeper to your mind. So what does a gatekeeper do? The gatekeeper watches and recognizes what comes in or who comes in and who goes out a certain place. So practicing mindfulness is like keeping a gatekeeper to your actions and your words and your thoughts. So if you are aware of what you are doing, right, and if you know before what you're doing, and if you know what you're doing before doing, and if you know what you're saying before saying, by being mindful and by being aware, then it is very easy to control the unwholesome actions and unwholesome thoughts and unwholesome words that occurs in our life. And this helps us to be disciplined from our body, to be disciplined from our words, and will be easy to practice the virtuous behavior, and our practice of sila will be even more productive. So that is how the mindfulness helps us to practice sila. And also the second practice, how mindfulness helps us to practice samadhi, or the concentration. Now, when you take the 4 foundations of mindfulness, there are 4 foundations of mindfulness according to Buddhism. Being mindful about your body is one foundation. That's the first foundation. Second one is being mindful about your feelings. And the third one is being mindful about your mental actions or the thoughts. And then being mindful about the mental objects, right? Like such as concepts and ideas and thoughts. So these 4 foundations of mindfulness, in the beginning, the Buddha teaches us how to be tranquilized. Okay, how to concentrate your mind. For an example, if you refer to Kayanupassana, the first practice of Kayanupassana is Anapanasati, or the breathing meditation, being mindful about the breathing. So the Buddha doesn't dive into the deep end at first to realize the true nature or the impermanence nature of the breath. The first thing that the Buddha says us or instruct us to do is to be mindfully breathe in and mindfully breathe out. Okay? Just be mindful when you breathe in and be mindful when you breathe out. Now, when you do this, your mind will be tranquilized. And it has the nature of bringing the calmness and bringing that serenity to your mind. So mindfulness will lead you to practice the samadhi. Samadhi means the tranquilized nature of your mind, peacefulness in your mind. And also as the final practice, it is the prajna or the panya in Buddhism. Prajna or panya is the realization of the true nature of life. Realization of the 3 marks of existence in life. So what are the 3 marks of existence in life? First one is anicca, the nature of impermanence. Second one is dukkha, the nature of unsatisfiedness or the nature of suffering. And the third one is anatta, the nature of non-self. Now, to do this, to realize this true nature, you need to have a good wisdom. To have a good wisdom, you have to have a good practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you to focus your mind into one part of your life. And it's very easy to realize the true nature, the impermanence nature, once the mind is mindful and tranquilized. It's something like this. Let's say you're traveling in a train, okay? And you see all the sceneries in a very fast paced, and it's more like a motion blurred version. We don't see the real images, okay? Everything is blurred. So to realize and to see what the real nature and the real sceneries of around us, what we have to do, we have to get down from the train. We have to come into one place and to see and to enjoy that one nature of the life. So to do that, what we have to do, we have to come into one place and to focus on one thing at a time. To do that, the mindfulness helps us. And finally, how mindfulness helps us to practice the wisdom or the prajna. So the prajna is the ability to realize the true nature of our life. The true nature of our life is the impermanence. And the true nature of the existence is these three marks of existence: the impermanence nature, and the suffering nature, and the non-self nature. So to realize these three natures, what we have, we need to have a tranquilized mind and a well-focused mind and a good awareness. So practice of mindfulness will help us to bring the awareness to our life. So that will help us to bring more wisdom and to see the life in a more wiser way and a more profound way by practicing the mindfulness. So this is how the practice of mindfulness helps us to be more productive in Buddhist practice. So let's all practice this amazing practice of mindfulness in our life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. We all know that it is really, really difficult to find our own mistakes and our own faults and correct them. But it is really easy to point out other people's mistakes and find other people's faults. This is one lesson that my parents taught me when I was a child. They said, "Son, when you point one finger towards others, there are three fingers pointing at you. Sometimes there are many mistakes in ourselves, but we keep on finding other people's faults, other people's mistakes." But we all know that we should stop finding faults in others, but it is really difficult. Why is it is difficult? It is because of this habit, the mental pattern of finding faults in others. Luckily, this is a habit which we can change, which we can take control and stop it. So there are a few things that we have to understand and we have to realize to stop finding faults on others and be more focused on ourselves. In Dhammapada, verse number 50, the Buddha says, "Na paresang vilomani, na paresang katakatang, attano avikeya, katani akatani cha." One should not find other people's faults. One should not find what good or bad others have done or not have done. Rather, one should find what mistakes and what good or bad things that one has done or has not done. So this is how to be focused on ourselves. Once you realize that no one in this world is perfect, then it is very easy to understand about why they make mistakes and why people keep doing wrong things. Most of the time, we used to complain why they are doing this, right? Why people are behaving like this. Why can't they behave like me? Why can't they be like me? But turns out that no one can be like you. Do not expect people to be like you. Okay? People are people. People are different, one person to another, and that is what makes this human life and human world so much beautiful, because there is this vibrant difference between people. In each and every human-made thing, there is an error. So back in those days when we were learning physics, we used to calculate all the things and measurements, and when we are doing it, we calculate one thing that is called the human error. Okay, what is it? The human error. That means the nature of humans is that there is an error always. And that error is not a bad thing. It is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it is the most beautiful thing in this world. Okay, so understand that no one is perfect, and no one can be like you, and no one can behave according to all the way that you want. Because people are living in their own worlds, in their own lives. They have their own dislikes and likes. So they live according to those intentions and emotions. So we have to understand that no one is perfect in this world. And also understand that everyone is struggling in this life, right? There is this unsatisfied nature in everyone's life. Isn't it? This is one thing that we have to understand. This is one of the major teachings in Buddhism. The Buddha says that realize that there is this unsatisfied nature in your life, right? Understand it as it is. And once you realize that there is this unsatisfied nature in your mind, you can relate it to other people as well. Same as I am unsatisfied, and same as I am suffering in my life, other peoples are also suffering. Other peoples are also struggling in their life. So they will make mistakes. They will do wrong things. So these are the things that we have to understand, just to not to find faults on others, but to rather be focused on our mistakes and our doings and non-doings. So understand these things. And also, there's one thing. Now, by saying this, should you forget all the mistakes that other people do and just focus on yourself? I would say no. Because there are people in your life that you should find faults. You should care about the mistakes that they do. They are the people who live closely to your life. They are the people who love you most. They are the people who you love most. Always remember, when you see such people's mistakes, there is a way to correct them. Okay? It is okay to find the faults on those people, but there is a way to approach them. There is a way to correct them. Do not choose the easiest way to correct other people's mistake. What is the easiest way? Using the anger and using the violence to correct mistakes on other people. This is not a productive way. If you truly love someone, if you truly care about other people's life, their life, you should approach them to correct their mistake in a more productive way. So you should think, what is the most productive way that I can correct their mistakes? Not to just to hold on to not to make them hold on to their own mistakes and keep on doing it. Not just to make them more stubborn on their mistake. So when you consider about that, you find the easiest way and you find the correct way to approach them. The best way to correct someone's mistake is to speak to them privately, not in publicly. Speak to them privately and just explain what mistakes that they are doing. Okay, and explain the consequences of the mistakes. And also, you have to praise and you have to appreciate the good things that they do. The more you see the good side and the bright side of the people, it is very easy to approach them and correct their mistakes. The more we see the negative side or the dark side of the people, here's one thing happen. You lose the ability to communicate. because we are reminiscing and we just keep thinking about that, or the negative idea or the negative point of that person, and just forget about the strengths and all the abilities of that person that we can praise and we can appreciate. And by appreciating that, we can correct that little mistakes in them. So that is why just be more focused on the good side and the bright side of the people. So keep these points in your mind and live happily by seeing the good of other people and by seeing the wonder of this world. Namo Buddhaya.